Welcome into the next edition of the FCS late night show. We are down Drew, but we've still got Tenny, Danny, Brady, and myself. Guys, how are we doing tonight before we get kicked off? How's everybody's week?
Well, it's been better than the start of this show, so not too bad.
Yeah, that's been pretty good.
It's all right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing better than Brady, who we'll get into it with his fake college football games.
Sad.
So that is right. All right, guys, we are going to kick off the show running down all of the week 13 games. First one, as is tradition, that ended the America East Championship game, the one we've been talking about on this show, probably the longest, I would venture. Stony Brook takes down Sacred Heart in a very close one. I don't have the score pulled up if somebody's got that one.
31-28.
128.
Ended live on last week's show, actually.
That's right. I
Oh,
wasn't
yeah,
here
that's
for
right.
that last show, so crazy finish. Stony Brook got revenge, and definitely revenge in the more important game. A lot of us had Stony Brook winning that one. We'll start with this. Where do you guys, I'll start with Tenny. Where do you guys think Stony Brook slots into the playoffs after winning the America East?
I mean, I think they slot in around those like in the 20s somewhere, because they were kind of a borderline playoff team before. But I mean, obviously they get the auto bid, so it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter where the committee ranks them. But I don't see them getting any higher than probably 20, maybe 19, somewhere in there. Which means they're going to be playing. I mean, everybody's going to be good in the playoffs, but they're going to be playing one of those teams that just misses out on getting a bye. So it's going to be a fun matchup for Stony Brook.
Yeah, I'll go next. I kind of agree with Tenny. You might get them maybe a little higher if they get some help with some teams losing. But no, I'd say probably high teens, maybe a little better seating, like 18-ish.
Yeah, I think that they're going to be. I mean, it really doesn't matter because, you're going to play a good team at the end of the day, and you just got to win. Sort of what Tenny was saying. But yeah, they'll be somewhere down there. I would say in the 20s. Since it's a weaker conference, but the Sacred Heart win is pretty good, or is I would actually say really good. So they'll probably see a bump from that. I'd say top of the auto bids, if not
Yeah,
surpassing
I would
one.
imagine that auto bid is where they're going to land. Well, like that auto bid spot down there. Do you think that they're going to be stealing a bid though? Because in the event that Sacred Heart had won, it still would only be a one bid league from the America East. But Stony Brook won, and Sacred Heart does have a decent resume. Is there a chance that they can both get in, or is Sacred Heart done and dusted? What do you think, Danny?
I think done and dusted is pretty accurate because you just their best win is the team that they just lost to, and by a similarly small margin. And you look at the other teams who are just there on the verge, and you see that they either come from really strong conferences and they did okay, or they blew out a below average conference. But the America East is not a below average conference. They are near the bottom of the barrel, as unfortunate as that is. I really like a lot of the coaches from there. But it makes it really hard to make the playoffs when we're all looking for who can compete, and when the only team you've been able to compete against is the team that you just lost to, the only team that will be in the playoffs that you can compete against.
Yeah.
Tenny, what do you think?
All right. Their playoff hopes dead as my great grandma. No chance. They were winning in and they lost, so they're gonna get a high seed in that mega bracket. But it's a shame. But hey, that's you got to win the big ones, like Drew says. Beat playoff caliber teams, you'll be in the playoffs.
I mean, I don't really have anything else to add. I don't think there's any chance Sacred
Mm-hmm.
Heart makes it. There's just too many other teams. I mean, they had a great season, 9-4, but there's just too many other teams that also have 4 losses or right around there that just have better resumes, played better teams in a better conference. Stony Brook's a good win, but it's not the best win. And there's teams around there that are fighting for those playoff spots that have better wins than that. So yeah, I think it's on to the mega bracket for Sacred Heart.
They're gonna feast
I'm
the
really
mega
glad
bracket.
I'm really glad that the rematch was as close as the first one too.
Yeah, they were both great games.
I like this one. I think it's cool that we finally had a game end on air that was that important. It was kind of a cool experience, and I hope that we can see that more as time goes on. Maybe be able to get some commentation or something. But that's as close as we've gotten, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I'm sure
it was definitely cool to have it during the show last week.
Yeah, and I do think Jocks brings up a good point that auto bids kind of was the death of them, because if there weren't any auto bids and it was just top 24, you could make an argument, but knowing that you have to be about top 22, 21, they're donezo.
Yep,
that's a good
I agree
point.
with that entirely. And that was why these Week 13 scheduled games were so important. The ones that didn't make the championship game for teams like, for instance, you two, Idaho State and Drake.
Yep.
A lot of those games.
All right, moving on.
You're right. I don't want to hurt you too much, Brady. So we're going to move on to Eastern Kentucky defeating MVSU 28-14 in the Delta Intercollegiate Championship. Brady, what were your thoughts on this one? Just pulling away here.
Sad.
Savage.
No, it was. BFB played a great game. I had my chances. It wasn't that I made mistakes. I think I actually had the better turnover differential. He got huge stops when he needed them. He got huge first downs. If he only converts half of the third downs he converted, I think it's a big. I win that game. If I don't have drive stall out, I win the game. But that's all because he played great defense and great offense. He is as advertised. I am worried for whoever gets him in the first round, and I'm really hoping I won't have to see him till the Final Four national title game.
Tenny, what do you think about this? We saw the lower seeded team win. Eastern Kentucky's probably going to get a pretty decent seed out of this. But do you think MVSU is still higher in the rankings, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think MVSU. I mean, they've had one of the better resumes and had a great season all year. I think they still stay top 8 and get that first round bye, get a week off, kind of come back and play who they get to play the next week. I think Eastern Kentucky will probably end around those like mid-teens somewhere, like that 16, 17, maybe like a 15 in there. So, and yeah, I do not envy whoever gets to play them. Like BFB has shown he's for real, and he's not a fun coach to play against.
Yeah, and had he not taken this auto bid, he's more than likely not in the playoffs with that next loss.
Yeah, because he was right on the. I'm trying to think of where he was in the committee rankings last week, but it was like right on the edge. So a loss.
He was number 24.
Would have knocked him out. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, if I'm looking at the resumes and I see like Mississippi Valley State's got a win versus in composite, number 6, number 20, number 33, and number 36, which was Central Arkansas. Central Arkansas is Eastern Kentucky's best win. The difference being Mississippi Valley State beat CARC by over 40 points, and EKU scooted out there with 7 points, which I know, Chase, that's your favorite, not your favorite metric, but you like to look at that, and I think that's a good case as to why MVSU is definitely going to be above EKU, probably still top 8. I would be shocked if they weren't.
Completely demolishing a team that we've all thought should be a fringe playoff team is worth definitely some weight. Losing in a title game, we've all debated, should it harm a team this much? I mean, you're playing against an FBS coach, which I know we rank teams, not coaches, but you're playing against an FBS coach. It's he's got a lot more under his belt than MVSU does in terms of just playing fake college football. So I think we can move on to this next one. Both of those teams are going to solidly be in the playoffs. Obviously, EKU with the auto bid, but this has to be the big one. Number 2 Princeton defeats number 9 Yale 42-41 in the Ivy League Championship. As advertised, this was one of the best games of the entire season, and unfortunately it came down to special teams. A missed PAT by Yale that would have sent it to overtime. Tenny, I'll start with you. Princeton pretty much does definitely have a bye locked up, but where do you see them slotting? They were number 2, and now they get a win. Is there any chance they get that number 1 spot, or what do you think?
I think the only shot at them getting the number 1 is if Cal Poly knocks off Montana, but last I checked, that's not looking too likely. But being a 1 or 2, you're going to be on opposite sides of the bracket from each other. From that point, it's all about matchups. But Princeton has put together a great season. They've earned that high seed, and they're going to be a tough team, tough out come playoff time, just like they have been all season. But so is Yale. I mean, that was a fun game to watch, and came down to a missed extra point. Then you go to overtime, and it's anyone's to win in overtime, but just wasn't his day.
Before we talk any further, Drew has joined us. How are you doing,
Hello.
Drew?
I'm a little under the weather, but I'm here.
That's good. That's good.
So, Drew, I'll start with you now that you're here, or at least pass it to you. We've already talked about Princeton. They've probably locked up top 3 seed. They won, and they were already number 2. What do you think about Yale, though? Where do you think they slide in here?
I want to say they're a top team that won't end up being top 10 come seeding. I think they, talent-wise and, coachability, top 10. But, unfortunately, all the early losses that the team had from the old coach is going to come back and hurt that seeding. But when you're talking about some of the best, player-by-player matchups, Yale is going to be one of those lower seeds that probably knocks off a top 8 when you go into playoffs. He's really good. He put up a good fight with one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the nation, and I think he definitely on Spotlight, he put up a big performance, and it's a shame that it ended the way it did. I don't think he deserved that kind of heartbreak, but I think you can definitely look at Yale and be like, this is one of the 10 best coaches in the country, and he's going to cause a lot of problems.
So, Danny, where do you think that Yale deserves to be slotted here in the playoffs?
Oh boy, yeah. So building off what Drew said, deserved is an interesting word. I think that the Yale coach he's got a similar situation to Bethune-Cookman, where I think Jocks is probably also a top 10 coach, but somebody else having their team early is going to hurt them. As far as just committee goes, since I know a little bit how that tends to play out. Right now, Yale was number 9, and you got to look at who's above and below. And I'm going to try and do a general analysis just based off of wins and losses, even though I know resumes change, especially as the season goes on. So teams might move up or down based on who they beat and who the teams that they beat. But Yale with a loss, right below them is number 10, Eastern Washington. They do have Dayton and Chattanooga above them who did lose, and we'll get to those 2 later. So they might not drop too far, but at the very least, I'm thinking probably in that 10 to 12 range. Some shenanigans might happen. They might drop a little bit further. They might remain up in the single digits, but I think it would be hard for them to get a bye at this point. I think that if Butler wins, they'll have a good shot at it, but I wouldn't worry about them too much. Not a bye, but a high seed.
I would agree with that. Brady, do you have any strong thoughts that haven't already been conveyed about Yale?
No, everyone's basically said it. He's a good coach, but at some point you do have to pay for your team's sins, whether you were the coach or not. He's in the playoffs, so at this point it doesn't matter. He's not going to get a bye. Sorry, my mic was messed up. He's not going to get a bye, but he's in the playoffs, and at the end of the day, that's all you need. He's got a ticket to the dance. You're going to have to beat a good team there anyway, so he's in. it doesn't matter if he's 9 or 24. He's going to be playing in the first round.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Are we ready to move on to the next conference championship game?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, so the next ticket that was punched, Incarnate Word defeated Lamar 59-31. This one, there was a sizable gap for most of it, but they did end up trading punches toward the end. What was the most impressive to me was the fact that Lamar had a losing record and was in this title game to begin with due to sweeping McNeese State on the season. But Incarnate Word completes an undefeated season against the Southland, one of the most underrated accomplishments of the season, considering Sacred Heart lost that. Guys, what do we make of Incarnate Word? They flew under the radar for most of the season and then jumped in the committee rankings late. They're now probably going to be within a teen ranking here. I don't even think that 18 or something is out of the question. I'll start with you, Drew.
Yeah, so I think Incarnate's a great coach. I know I've said on the show multiple times that I think Incarnate's going to be one of those teams where they're going to be low seeded, but I could see them making a huge run. They're really talented over there. That coach was really good at the beginning with UC Davis, and I guess now whenever they took over Incarnate, they just dominated play. And personally, I don't think Lamar was all that great because I don't think McNeese was all that great either. So I still think that there's some doubt about them. Now, granted, obviously, undefeated in conference is a huge accomplishment. I'm not trying to take away from that by any means, but I definitely think that it could be a little deceiving. It's a hard team to figure out. Like, you can definitely tell the talent's there, but when they play like one of these playoff caliber teams, I don't know how they're going to stack up. So they're definitely going to be a team I'm going to have my eyes peeled on whenever I'm watching the first round games.
Yeah, no, you make a good point about, like, there's a lot of good coaches, and I want to know you guys' opinions on this, but I think there's probably 15 to 20 teams that if they were in the Final Four of the national championship, you'd be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. So I think they're one of those teams. They played well. They're in it. This is going to be a bloodbath of a tournament, and this is just another one of those contenders.
See what
I think you're gonna look at some of these like high seeded matchups, and people are gonna be like, oh, that's an upset. But then if you really look at it on paper, you're gonna be like, that's not really that much of an upset. It just looks like it because of the seeds. I feel like that's gonna happen a lot during the playoffs, and they'll be one of those teams that does that.
Something that is a little overlooked. I know we were talking about coaches earlier. Incarnate Word for the first half of the season was UC Davis, and it seems like everybody nowadays is like, oh man, UC Davis, remember when they were good? Oh, they were such a good coach. And now Incarnate Word has become the second half that we expected out of UC Davis. I think if you pieced together NCS's whole entire FCS resume, you'd look at them as one of those teen range, maybe even higher. The thing is, Incarnate Word has been ranked one time so far in committee. That was week 10 at number 24. He was 5-2, and he's won 3 times since. The problem was he beat bad teams. Other teams were doing better than him relatively, getting better wins, so he fell out. But now he'll have the bye, or not the bye, he'll have the auto bid. People are going to have to look at Incarnate Word and seriously evaluate their talent, and I think they're going to skyrocket as far as showing that they can win and that they can beat teams in a playoff setting, as we knew that this game would be. That's going to help bolster their resume. I'm not exactly sure where they're going to end up. That's maybe one of the tougher things to predict, but we're going to see a good Incarnate Word throughout the season. I agree. If they're top 4 or end up in the Final Four, that's predictable.
Where would you put him?
Oh boy. Relatively, I'm thinking as far as talent, as far as resume goes, looking at this last week's ranking, I'd probably slot them in maybe 21, 20, maybe 19. Yeah.
See, that's about where I have him at, because like at the end of the day too, you gotta remember, like, Lamar was 5-7 for a reason. Like, they beat McNeese because McNeese, whenever I looked at the game, like, McNeese fell into this trap of like falling for like meme numbers, And like, look at it, like a whole bunch of 750s and ones and all this other stuff. And top teams don't really do that. And Lamar is 5-7 for a reason. Like, if you take out McNeese, he's 2-7. I don't know how much.
3-7, but that's not great.
Sorry, math's hard.
Numbers are hard.
But yeah.
Numbers are hard.
Numbers are hard. Eastern Washington.
Playoff dark horse.
When I was filling out Drew's challenge, however you pronounce it, bracket thing, my dark horse was Incarnate Word. I believe I had him in either the final 8 or maybe even the final 4. I think it was just 8, but definitely I like that coach. I like the way that they play. And the Southland, I don't think it's a great conference by any means, but not losing a single conference game is just something to write home about for sure.
Yeah.
We want to move on to the next conference championship game.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
This one is the definition of a bid stealer. Bethune-Cookman was riding that fringe, but had they lost, they likely would have been out. They defeated Chattanooga 38-31 in a very fun Atlantic Sun championship game. Chattanooga is most likely still in the playoffs. Bethune-Cookman clinches that auto bid. Guys, we will talk eventually about these bid stealers, but Bethune-Cookman, we just talked about how some people think that Jocks is one of the best coaches. They just received a poor team. Is this evidence of that they can knock off one of these giants? They've beaten MVSU and now they've beaten Chattanooga. What do we think of Bethune-Cookman? Tenny, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think Bethune-Cookman has shown that they're a really good team. Those 2 good wins in the last 3 weeks against top 5 teams. I don't remember what the record was when Jocks took over the team, but definitely turned that team around and turned them into a playoff team and earned that spot in the playoffs.
Yeah,
3-2.
Under Jocks.
3.
Yeah, well, 3-2 before. Wait, okay, yeah.
3-2 when she took over, which I didn't realize she's been around that long.
Yeah, it was like week 7, somewhere in there. But yeah, anyway, turned that team around, got the spot in the playoff, and I mean, I feel like we're going to be saying this about every team that makes the playoffs, but it's another scary team, and everyone that's going to be in the playoffs is going to be good. As far as Chattanooga goes, I mean, they're still for sure a walk into the playoffs. They've had a great season. They have great wins. It may hurt their chance of getting a bye, but we'll see. I mean, they've done everything they can, and they lost to a great Bethune-Cookman team, but they're going to be another good team come playoff time as well.
Yep. I say
So, go ahead.
Brady, go ahead.
I was going to say, we've said from the last 2-3 weeks that, hey, BC's winning and BC has to win out. BC has to win out. They went out and did exactly what they needed to do. They're in it. They're a scary team. They've beaten 2 top 10 teams in the past, I think, 3 weeks. They're riding in hot. If they can continue this, they're another team that you wouldn't be surprised if you see them win 3-4 games in this tournament.
So I think whenever Jocks beat MVSU, I was definitely one of the people in the minority. I was like, I think this is kind of a fluke win. Like, not necessarily a Jocks isn't like good, but I just thought that Brady may have had like an off game. And I think this win kind of proves me wrong. Because I rate Chattanooga very highly as opposed to many other people. I know the committee can confirm that one. But I think this game also kind of shows like the level of Chattanooga as well, because Chattanooga was down pretty big in this game and almost completed the amazing comeback. And I've said since week 1 that if you're going to be a good team, you have to be able to come back in situations where you're down. So I think this also, as good as Bethune-Cookman has proven that they are, I think this also proves that Chattanooga's very good as well. But Jocks is definitely, I think you can say pretty confidently, is at least one of the best 15 coaches. Top 10 probably when you come down to it, if you crunch the numbers and stuff. But I think both of these teams have a really good shot at going deep. And I I don't want a part of either one of them.
Huh, yeah. Isn't it funny how frequently we say, I don't want to face this team, and it's probably, we all say it against 5 teams each, and it seems like no one wants to play anyone in these playoffs, but that's what it's about. These 24
Rest in
teams are
peace,
going to be
Central
the best
Arkansas.
24. Rest in peace, Central Arkansas. That's right.
Man, I'm so excited. There are going to be so many great games. Like, can you pick any 2 teams in this playoff, any 2 at-large bids in this entire field and be like, this game wouldn't be that good? Every single matchup's going to be amazing. I'm so excited.
Eastern Washington.
I'm so excited. I don't know.
But that game's exciting to see if they're real.
And they're competent.
Anyways, let's keep going.
Idaho State.
Chase, take it away.
All right, I'll take it away. The next championship game, I'll let you guys talk a little more about it, but I will give some details if necessary. Northern Iowa defeats Dayton 33-23 to win the Great Plains Conference Championship. I had a lot of fun in this game. It was a really close one all the way through. It was just one turnover was the pivotal turning point. Let's start with Danny on this one. What did you make of this championship game? What I thought throughout the entire way is that it was going to be UNI Butler, and then on the final day, Dayton snuck in and made it a great contest.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see because, as we know, Dayton has a new coach, and we were like, okay, what can they do? This is a team who's pretty much locked into a playoff spot, so this is their first shot at playing a top caliber team with a lot on the line. And they did actually show up better than I anticipated. What was that, 10-point differential was was pretty close relative to what I thought it was going to be. So I'm kind of actually not disappointed. It's not like a Eastern Washington Montana situation where you win by a zillion points. So it makes me hopeful that New Dayton's going to be able to compete in the playoffs. And it was a good game for UNI. I think that's going to help them achieve a bid that they so deserve. I mean, how many 11-win teams out of all the teams that you've seen do you think you could do you really think wouldn't deserve a bid? I mean, everybody's been talking up Sacred Heart, and they had 9 wins in America East, 11 wins in Great Plains. That's pretty incredible. So I like them. I like both teams.
Brady, what are your thoughts on this one?
No, he said a lot of that. Northern Iowa's been unreal hot. Kind of been is sneaky good because they had a rough patch in the middle of the season, which kind of knocked them down from that top tier. And they've just been slowly climbing back up, and now they're going to have a bye, going to get to sit home for a week. And Dayton's not a bad team at all. So, yeah, UNI has been very hot and maybe the hottest team going into the playoffs.
So me personally, ever since I played UNI early in the season, I said UNI is going to end up top 5. They're going to end up being a dangerous team in playoffs, and they will go far. And I've held true to that ever since, even during the rough patch. And now it finally looks like he's going to get back top 5. And I'm really happy about this. I love and respect every single person that I have played outside of, a couple. But when I played Chase, there was a part in that game, like second or third quarter, where I'm like, oh my God, this dude needs to chill and get out of my head. I'm going to lose by 30.
I just posted a screenshot for you.
Yeah, there it is. And whenever I ended up winning, I knew I got pretty fortunate. Like, I made a couple good plays, but I know that I have a feeling that I'll see Chase again deep in the playoffs, and I can't wait. And I'm really happy for UNI personally that they got this far, and it's awesome. It makes me excited. Also, shout out to Dayton. I think they held their own in a very tough environment in their second game ever. I think that coach really proved that they can actually hold their own in playoffs, and they might end up winning a game or two, and without anyone really knowing who they are.
new coach Dayton beat Drake in week 12, and then came into the Great Plains Championship game as, according to Elo, like a 1.5 to 2.5 point underdog. Jocks can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was around there. I jumped out. It was a 17-3 lead right before halftime, and then right before half he scored, and then he scored on the opening kickoff of the second half, and it was 17-17 in a blink. And I'm thinking, man, like it just disappeared so quickly. And then I jumped out. It was a 13-point lead, and he had the ball, and then just the turnover ended it. It was an extremely close game, and I don't even think that a 10-point game is even worth what it actually was. I think it was a lot closer, and I genuinely think Dayton could win one or two in the playoffs. I seem to say that about every team, but I love this new coach. I don't know if you
want to
guys
move on to
all
the
got
next one?
Honestly, did you all get your thoughts in on this one?
I think so.
All
Yeah,
right.
I don't have anything to add that nobody else said.
This one wasn't a conference championship game, but it was definitely very important. Idaho State played Drake to a 31-13 victory. Drake's playoff hopes are eliminated, but Idaho State may have just sealed their bid into the playoff as an at-large. We'll never know until the committee releases their rankings, but they were on that fringe, and they got a pretty solid win against Drake. I will avoid starting with Tenney, so we'll go to Brady.
Do we have to?
We do have to, unfortunately.
I can do it. I would love it.
All right, I'll go to Drew. What do you make of this Idaho State team heading into the playoffs, especially getting that pivotal win in Week 13?
I cannot express this enough. First of all, everyone who's going to cry and bitch about a 5-loss Big Sky team, eat shit. It's going to happen. They're going to get in. You don't have a choice. There's 2 of them now. So, cry bitch all you want. Glaring at you, Naki, Campbell, BC, whoever else is complaining. 2 5-loss teams. They're both going to win at least one playoff game. I'm telling you right now, Idaho State is that good of a coach. That record is not fair. But that team is definitely going to fucking win.
I'd just like to point out I only have 4 losses.
4.
You're thinking of Norco.
I am thinking Norco. Either way, Tenney's going to cause some fucking problems. That dude's a great coach.
Well, so
That's all.
what I had to say about this game is before it started, Tenny and I were talking a bit, and he was telling me about how he was scouting and stuff, and we both agreed that scouting Mississippi Valley State was going to be probably more valuable than scouting Drake, because we were both like, Brady's going to play this game like it's Mississippi Valley State, especially after losing to EKU. This means a lot. And I guess that really came to fruition with the big win. It was a very fun game to watch, and I think that's sort of been a trademark of Idaho State games of recent. I mean, early in the season they were destroying teams. I was terrified, and rightfully so, as I took an L. But lately it's been a roller coaster, and that's honestly something I'm very excited about, is the fun teams making the playoffs. Idaho State is the poster boy for fun teams. And so anytime that you see their game thread, I dare you to click in, look at the score, see what's going down, and watch Idaho State destroy a team, or in the case of a really close game, come out ahead at the last second. Unless they're playing Montana, we all know how that goes. But other than that, probably a close W.
Subscribe.
Yeah.
We did that wrong.
So Brady, this is kind of an interesting question I've got for you. Are you excited or disappointed, or what are your thoughts on narrowing it down to one team to focus on instead of having MVSU and Drake?
Well, I didn't think, when I lost to Dayton, I didn't think Drake had a chance to make it in. No, I'm happy for Tenney. He's a good enough coach. He deserves to be in there. Obviously, that was the back-to-back of my rough week. If you were able to see the meme last night, you know how I felt. It was it was rough. No, I'm not posting it again with everyone in here. And no one else should. But no, Tenny was a really good coach. We talked this. Oh yeah, that's the PC
That's the other
version.
one.
Yeah, that's the good one. Um, yeah. No, both of them are really good. It would have been a shame if Tenny didn't make it, but no, Danny was right. I played that game not like I normally play Drake. I played it really tough. I tried to win, by evidence of the memes I have ready for that, but I'm gonna be focused on Mississippi Valley State. I'm really hoping I get that. No, no. Um, sorry, I'm talking to the chat. But no, I'll have the mega bracket. That'll be fun. I'll play as Drake, and I'll play fun. Try to meme my way to a mega bracket championship. But yeah, Tenny's a Tenny is a good enough coach, and he deserved that win. And I know no one said it, but there was no being friends and giving him an easy ride. I was trying to win that game. I was trying to get into his head, and he just beat me.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that was around, what was it? It was Wednesday night when we were playing that game?
Yeah.
We were in voice chat for like almost the whole game, and Brady was trying to get into my head the whole time, and I just tried to block him out and just play the best numbers I could, and obviously it came out favorable for my team. But going into this game, I know some people, maybe Drew, had said, "Why'd you play such a good team going into Week 13 game?" And I kind of just felt like I needed one more prove it game. Because if you look at last week's committee rankings, I was ranked 21, and with the three auto bids or three conferences that didn't have a team ranked, I would have been right there on that bubble. So I just wanted to get a good win and cement myself into the playoffs. But yeah, it was a fun game, and I'm looking forward to the playoffs now. Finally.
All right, guys, we ready to move on to some of the other ones?
Yeah, let's hit it.
All right, big one here is Northern Colorado defeating Dartmouth 28-14. Both of these teams are riding that fringe. I definitely think that if Dartmouth had won, they would have made it into the playoffs. I still think Northern Colorado is going to need some help to solidify that, but they did get that clutch Week 13 win. What do you guys think? Let's roll to Drew. What do you think of Norco? I know you've probably got some big sky up your ass.
No. Going into the week, I, without doing like a bunch of heavy research, I saw this matchup as a win and in. And now that we're out of it, I really find it hard to put Norco in there. While I think that Norco has arguably the best win on anyone's resume, they also.
I wonder why you think that.
Yeah, I went over Dartmouth for sure. Yeah.
I said arguably. First of all.
Let's argue about it.
Okay. Let's argue about it. Who else be the number one team? Don't worry, I'll wait. Yeah, 0-3 in this chat. Anyway.
Carry on.
You haven't played me yet.
Yeah, it'll make it 4.
Weber State did. So.
Yeah, Weber State. They also have arguably the best win on their resume. Anyway.
Let's add Weber State to our chat.
I think Northern Colorado is a decent team. I don't think that they get in because of auto bids. They will be one of those unlucky teams. But I definitely think if you're looking at, like, say there's 5 auto bids, I think you're looking at them as that number 20 or 21, like that first one out. Which, unfortunate, but, when you have 5 losses, it's tough. And as much as it looked like a win and in, looking back on it, there's a lot more auto bids than I originally thought that there were going to be, especially with people like Hampton dropping as far as they did. I think that doesn't necessarily help them as much, but they're going to be one of those teams that is anxiously going to be awaiting whenever we do the selection show. That's going to be one of those teams that's right on the fence, and they might get heartbroken. I feel like that will end up being them.
Yeah, I think I said last week going into this game that the winner of this game was probably still going to be on the outside looking in, just because they're both 7. It would have been 7-5 either way for whoever won this game, and they both come from strong conferences, but they aren't one of the strong teams in those conferences. Like, because you have Montana State, who's 7-5 and going to the playoffs, but if you look at the games they've played and the teams they've beaten, it just far outweighs the teams Northern Colorado has played and beaten. And Norco has losses to teams like Portland State and Northern Arizona that are just going to weigh him down. But I mean, I still think he's a great team, great coach, and it'd be another one. I mean, obviously I lost to him earlier this year. I'd love to have another shot at him, but it's another one of those coaches that when he's on his day, he's a good team, and I wouldn't want to play him.
Danny?
Man, I don't know. Like, I always feel like I'll come in and I'll have an astute answer, but like I'm looking at it and I just have no idea. They didn't play, like, the difference between Northern Colorado and Montana State right now, both 7-5 Big Sky teams, and the out of conference isn't super different. I guess I did get Princeton, but we both had Stony Brook. He played Drake, and Prairie View, I played Jacksonville State and Mississippi Valley or whatever. But the thing is, they did that. Those losses to Portland State and Northern Arizona really hurt. Those are some of the worst teams that he had on his resume, and taking the L against them is something that just makes it super hard to makes it super hard for us to put them above somebody else. Like, you'll see teams near the bottom like Tennessee Tech or Howard or whatever, who will have great wins, and Northern Colorado has great wins, and Howard has a lot of wins, and it comes down to how the committee members individually look at that. Do you want a lot of wins? Do you want great wins? Do you want not bad losses? Do you want not many losses? I have no idea. We can move on to the next one. I think this one will be debated a lot in chat as well, because it is going to be another. Are they winning in?
Ekstrom, you're my hero.
God damn it.
All right.
So Howard took down Georgetown 31-7, and while Georgetown did have fewer games played than a lot of these contending playoff teams, it is the old new Dayton coach, #new Dayton. They were forced to go to Georgetown, and 31-7 was the final there, guys. Howard, just after beating Hampton, now gets another signature win, and I would have to imagine that locks up their playoff spot. Brady, would you agree?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm still recovering. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, do you think Howard has a playoff spot locked up after this win, or do you think they still...
Locked up? No. Do I think they're in? Yes, but I think they're another one of those teams that is on the inside and would need probably a change of heart from a few committee members to be knocked out. They're going to be about 22-21. But yes, I do think they are a playoff team, but it's not a for sure thing.
So on my bracketology that I've been making, I dropped them out for an auto bid, but actually looking back on it, I think I would rank them ahead of Tennessee Tech, thanks to help from Tenny on that one. But I think they're one of the teams that sneak in, assuming Tennessee Tech loses. If Tennessee Tech wins, I think they get that that final auto bid over Howard. Howard's again going to be like Norco, one of those teams that like come selection show, they're going to be a team that's just waiting to see if they get in or not, and they're good, but I still don't think we know a whole lot about them. I mean, they flew under the radar, then it came out of nowhere with a ranking, then the absolute beatdown of Hampton, and we haven't seen Hampton since, so I assume he's dead. And Georgetown's a good coach too, like, cause that was the coach of the team that got Dayton to where they were today. So I think Howard is talented. I don't know if they get that last spot. I know I personally would probably end up having them sneak in tentatively.
Yeah, those at-large spots above the autos, like those bad autos, not bad, but worse than the rest auto teams are always hard to discern. Danny, what do you make of Howard?
Howard will make it in. This is just sort of a Danny, like just a Danny guarantee. So it doesn't mean I don't know. I just think at 8-2, it would be kind of crazy for Howard to not make it in. They have a win against Hampton, who will probably be a playoff team. They will definitely be a playoff team if they beat Lafayette. And their second best win is Wagner, which I've said many times is a lot of teams' second best win, but it's not terrible. Because their resume is not terrible because you look at the bottom, they lost to Lafayette, they lost to James Madison. Those are two teams. Lafayette's not good. They're mid-range, but James Madison's decent. They were in contention for a bottom of the rankings in the committee. And so that Howard can compete at least a little bit. They did beat Georgetown, who is ranked comp 53 right now, so that slots in to be their third best win, assuming Wagner doesn't drop or something. The committee would be a little crazy. Wait, no, 8-2 plus the Georgetown would make 9-2, a 9-2 team. That's a really good win percentage. I don't really care if you don't have a ton of statement wins. 9-2 means you can win. We want winners in the playoffs.
They were 7-2 last week.
So what am I? Do they have Monmouth twice? I see 8-2 on the sheet. We can debate this later.
Yeah, if you're looking at the committee sheet, it has updated rankings, but not updated games played.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're right. So it'll be 8-2. But yeah, that's just off the top of my head. Not the committee stuff. I had to look that up, but yeah.
Quick question: Do you guys think Hampton gets in if he loses this game to Lafayette?
Probably the most heavily debated team.
No kidding, and especially with him being gone from the chat, there will be no pushback from him.
I'll give you one guess as to who's Hampton's second best win is.
Wagner.
It is Wagner.
I figured Wagner. That good old Mac.
6-5 mid-range. Yeah.
All right, I think it might be time to move on to the active games. We've got just a few that are still rocking that are worth mentioning. We're going to start here with the team we just talked about. Hampton is beating Lafayette 8-7, and that's right. The 8 is from a delay of game. 2:52 left in the second quarter. Hampton has been MIA, but has been playing on Reddit. Not entirely sure where he is, but he is living rent-free in Drew's head, rest assured.
Damn right.
Montana's up 21-10 on Cal Poly with 1:49 left in the second. Presbyterian is up 17-7 at halftime on Elon. Guys, of those three, and I guess we can mention Butler's up 15-10, not in the conference championship game over Tennessee Tech, but that is what some may consider to be a plan for the playoffs based solely on resumes. Of those four, which ones do you want to briefly discuss here before we bring in Yale for an interview?
I think that Butler-Tennessee Tech game has the most storylines to it because you have two teams playing for two totally different reasons, but both need the win in their own way.
Yeah, it definitely has the most riding on it, I feel. I mean, for both teams.
Yeah, because Butler's playing for a bye, and Tennessee Tech's playing for their playoff life.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I've got the coach of Tennessee Tech sitting right here next to me. And in case no one's checked that game thread, the only reason Butler is winning is because of a delay of game that the Hannon Farm Wi-Fi let him down on.
I can feel Chase glaring at him right now.
Yeah, he's really letting me down with these. He's just living into the meme with the delay of game.
I feel like you take his team more seriously than he does.
That might not be too false. I sent him everything I've got on Butler.
Yeah, because you spent 8 hours scouting him until somebody messed it up.
This is completely correct. I'm gonna go full send since Butler's not even in the chat. I spent 8 hours during finals week of college working on scouting Butler, and then good old Brady over here lost to a new coach just so Butler wouldn't be playing me. But I mean, Butler did go ahead and lose to one of the worst teams in FCS, so it was certainly on him as well.
Would you like some water to wash down all that salt?
I would love some, yeah, because all
Okay.
that's going to waste.
All right. Well, you can go milk a cow and get some milk or something.
Zero
Speaking of
IQ
milking
moves,
a
damn
cow.
you, Yale, damn you. All right, guys, do we want to talk about any of the rest of them, or do we want to bring in our good man, Yale?
Let's bring him in.
Yeah.
All right, Danny, you've got the permissions.
He's before the show even started, so he should be able to unmute.
Hello.
Yeah.
And Josh, for
Yeah.
the record, that is exactly what I did. Yale, welcome into the show. Guys, the Wi-Fi is slow. Yale, how are you?
I'm great. How are y'all?
Not too bad.
Hello, Rocket League teammate.
What's up, Drew? You ready to play some more later?
Wait, did
Or-
you just
Hell
call him
yeah.
Drew? You mean Montana?
Yeah, we're close like that, Daniel.
No, I just remember distinctly you were like, "Oh, I just call him Montana in voice chat." Although that was like months ago. Wow, time flies.
Yeah, I know,
How
right?
time flies when you're busy in the big sky getting 5 losses.
Shh. Still ranked
Damn.
higher.
Wow. All right.
Ouch.
Well,
Shit,
whoa.
that was rough, man.
Well, I mean, last time we had Campbell on here, Drew just went full force, so I thought I might as well go full force on one of my own co-hosts.
That's all right. I think I can
To be
take
fair,
it.
one of those losses wasn't in the Big Sky, so only 4 in the Big Sky.
That's very true. Thank you. I feel very, very loved.
So with that, I will give Danny props. Danny, would you like to ask him the first question in this interview?
No.
No. I like you both. I was just rooting for Princeton. No, I just wanted to know what was going through your brain when that final pat missed. I know it's a very sensitive time, but you know that those sensitive times bring in the best or worst of us. What hit your brain?
So I was worried because if I went with a meme number like 69, he could have easily countered that. So I went up to like 800, hoping that he wouldn't put such a low number, and then it just ended up being that happening. It was when I saw Pat unsuccessful, my heart dropped like completely.
Oof.
That was
I know how that
it was
feels.
just terrible.
Did you ever
That's probably the
consider?
most painful loss
Oh yeah. Well,
of the season.
That's
Oh
gotta
my
be a
God,
top.
outside of maybe
No.
Teddy.
no. What was the pick 6 when they could have just kneed?
Oh, someone against
That
It
was
was a-
like
it was a
UT Martin versus.
Yes, it was UT Martin.
But that was just dumb. Like,
It was.
I don't know why he wouldn't knee it out.
championship.
Yale. Did you ever consider going for 2 in that situation?
I had when everyone was egging me on to go for 2, but I was just wanting to go with the save bet because I had the momentum against Princeton. But it just ended up not working out. So, I mean, I did come back from 14 points down. So that was pretty impressive, and I feel pretty good going into the playoffs versus whatever team I face.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
should.
that's a good segue into the next question. Who do you think, or who would you like to face, considering you are most likely not, despite what your username says, in the top 8? What do
Yeah, I
you think?
changed that.
Oh.
I don't know, honestly. I saw Montana or Drew's bracketology putting me against Presbyterian. I think that'd be a pretty interesting game against two FES coaches who are playing down currently.
Do you
Or
scout
not
much?
down.
Playing up.
Playing up, yes, my bad.
Yes.
I haven't been able to scout them much, but once I know who I'm playing, I'll probably scout them. Probably the last 2 or 3 games.
Gotcha. That's my biggest thing, because I had also been like bracketology had also put me against Presbyterian, and I was like, there's 2 teams, there's 2 people to scout. That's tricky. How would you approach that game if you were put up against Presbyterian?
If I was put up against Presbyterian, I'd probably just scout their games as Presbyterian, because that's how they probably play. Like Brady said earlier in the show, he plays different as MVSU and Drake. So I feel like it's better to scout Presbyterian than them as Minnesota or or Rice.
Yeah.
So, going into playoffs, this is kind of a 2-part question. So, where do you think you would put yourself in terms of like being one of the best coaches out there, and then where do you think your team will fall seed-wise?
I think I'd probably put myself top 10 coaches. And probably my team, due to the losses we had, I'd probably put myself in 11th or 12th, due to being a 5-loss team.
I think those are both very fair, considering that you had a very tough loss to the number 2 team, and I personally think you're one of the top 10 coaches in here as well. So I would agree with both of those statements. I think very sound opinions.
So, what teams do you look at in the playoffs that you think that you would most like to be matched up with, that you really think are kind of frauds?
Well, can someone pull the bracketology real quick, please?
Yeah, Drew, can you drop it in your bracketology, or just even around that?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
But so I'll switch that up then. While we're getting that, who do you not want to face the most outside of like BC? That's fair. Good team, really good team.
I played her. When it was her first week, she was like, "I can't have a scrimmage." I'm like, "Sure, I'll play," because I was bored. And then all of a sudden, I got dropped 39-13. And I was like, "Oh shit, I really don't want to face her again." Ooh, let's see. Who do I not want to face? Or who do I want to face? Maybe Incarnate Word if I drop to 12. If the Drew's bracketology puts them at 21 currently. They're a very weak team. All the problem is, again, it's Kent State coaching. So.
Damn, that's a take. That's a take and a half.
I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying.
I love it. I was gonna ask, do you think the committee will be worried with that 5th loss? Obviously, many believe that you're still a playoff team, but would you be worried that you would be much lower than 12, like you said right there?
I don't think so, because the losses are like at the beginning of the season, and my team's changed a lot. And with the coaching staff changes, the player changes, and there's the whole mentality around the locker room has changed since the out of conference games. I mean, the 5 losses I have are Princeton, Southern, Cornell
twice.
Yeah, Princeton twice.
How many of those have come under your watch?
3.
3?
Yeah, Cornell, which was just a mess. That was I think I fumbled 2 kickoffs that game. I ended up losing by 10. Then Dartmouth was the last-minute field goal. I almost drove down and scored on him in a minute. And then Princeton was a missed PAT, which is just rough.
I updated the bracketology and put Howard in for Tennessee Tech, and then moved up BC by 1.
Gotcha.
So Yale, final question here. It looks like we all don't. The rest of them don't have any more. Um, uh, I know you can't control where you're ranked, and you are more than likely going to be playing in that first round. Would you rather have a bye not because of you're facing a different team, but because you don't have to wait? You get to play right away. There's been a lot of talk about do teams actually want to wait, or are you just excited to be playing playoff football?
I just say excited to be playing playoff football. And it'd be rough waiting a whole week, even though I'd be able to scout the teams who I'd play. It'd just be the anxiety of waiting and the nerves of waiting to see who you play, and then also complacency, just having the almost 10 to 14 days off.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us. Unless you guys have any last minute questions.
No, he did great.
And yeah, obviously, happy to have any guest on here, but Yale, glad you could join us.
All right, thanks so much,
Thanks,
y'all.
Yale.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
You too.
We've had really good guests. I mean, who was it? We had Campbell, we had UNLV, we've had him, Hampton. Yeah, every guest we've had has been very solid.
Yeah, really excited
Butler,
for who we
too.
can get next week. That's right, I missed the Butler one, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Damn shame, my damn
From your own conference.
I know. I'll
Yeah.
have to go back and listen to that one. All right. As we roll it out, I'm going to kind of transition over to give it to Brady because this is his brainchild, his segment. Take it
All
away
right.
for the fun of the FCS late night show.
Yes. So we've done enough Q&As. We've all asked the same questions. We're going to get rehashed. Who's your dark horse? Who don't you want to play the most? Things like that. What are you looking for? So we're going to have a fun game that involves everyone in the chat. So we've done the show for a while, and we want you guys to get to know your hosts a little better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to list off a fun fact about one of the hosts. So it could be me, Tenny, Drew, Danny, or Chase. And what I want the chat to do is when I read it, I want you all to guess who you think this fact is describing. All right, so I'm going to go find one of our facts. The first one, this host collects CDs and has over 200 CDs in his collection. Which host do you think this is?
We got a Drew, we got a Brady, a Drew, Danny, Chase.
Pretty spread out, no Tenny yet.
Yeah, no one. We've had two Drews.
Plenty of him.
Tenny doesn't listen to CDs. He just listens to fucking war chants.
He has the Hitler Youth vinyl playing.
Yeah.
Chase because he can't download.
That's 10 out of 10. Drew, all you listen to is Requiem of a Dream.
Yeah, I
I
was gonna say, Drew would just have 200 CDs of just that song.
Just
And guess
different
what?
versions.
Wait, what would he play those CDs on? Oh wait, he does have a computer. That's right. I remember that.
Well,
I just don't use it.
I'll tell you this, Chattanooga, you are right. It is Chase who owns over 200 CDs. So the logic worked. Oh, shit. All right.
That's the best part about it.
Yes, that's why it was so funny.
Yeah, I was really happy. I didn't want to give it away, but that is fucking hilarious.
Okay.
That was worth it.
Yes, it was. All right. This host has once sold over $150 worth of food at Subway to an NFL quarterback. Once sold over $150 worth of food at Subway to an NFL quarterback. You got a Brady, Tenny, Danny.
Not Danny.
Why not Danny? Wow,
Has to be Brady. Wow.
It's because you live in Detroit, where they go through quarterbacks like no one business.
We've had the same quarterback for 10 years.
Before
What
that.
has that done for you?
Yeah, then I would have been like 11.
Brady's not 30.
Played in the
You guys
NFL.
don't know that.
NFL quarterback has started games in the NFL.
Not Chase food.
Not Chase
I
for
don't even
sure.
know what
They don't
food
have a
is.
Subway.
I'm not allowed to serve it out here.
Well,
Yeah, you serve corn.
the correct answer is Tenny. Tenny once served over $150 worth of food
Who
to
is it?
Brock Osweiler for his offensive line.
Oh God,
I love it.
Brock Lobster.
Yeah,
I'm guessing this is back when he was at Arizona State. Tenny.
he's muted. I'm assuming.
Oh, I've been muted for a while,
Yeah.
No, yeah, it was back when I was at ASU. I worked at the Subway that was right across the street from the football stadium. So we'd get them coming in there all the time.
Was he
God, I love the Brock.
was he at least a nice guy?
Oh, dude, he was awesome. Like, he would come in all the time, but there was one day where he came in and bought his whole offensive line a bunch of food just because he owed them some shit. I don't remember what it was for,
That
but
recruitment money.
Yeah, right. Okay, next question. This host has seen a college football game at over 20 different stadiums. This host has seen a college football game at over 20 different stadiums. People are thinking Danny. Drew?
Everyone immediately hopping on Danny. You. Okay, all right. I won't say it until after, but
Mine should be an easy
Campbell.
no.
I could see Campbell seeing a lot of games, but she's not a host, so no.
Campbell does travel.
I don't watch it, I play it. It's a difference. So no, it's not me. Although I have
But is
seen
Wayne State really a college though?
wow.
That cuts deep.
Yo, that meetup is going to be insane whenever Brady drops your shit.
I'm like, what's up, Brady? He just body checks me.
Well, the answer is Tenny. I went back to back Tennies. Tenny, would you want to
Yeah.
explain it at all?
I mean, I've been to every Pac-12 stadium, a bunch of Mountain West ones, some WAC ones, some small,
R.I.P.
basically
WAC.
a bunch of schools west of the mountains.
Why did everyone
Rest of
think
the-
it was me?
I don't know.
I haven't
that
even
guy
been to
that's
Husky
like-
Stadium, and I
I
see
feel
it
like
every
if anybody
day.
knew I'm the oldest one here, that would be the easiest answer.
That's
I've had
true.
the most time to go to a bunch of games.
True. But I feel
I
like
live near no colleges. So,
yeah.
Mizzou's the closest one that's like an hour away.
Your third one's gonna be Quincy.
That
Okay.
should be my first.
This host got his only detention in 5th grade for saying fuck on the Picto chat during a field trip.
Oh, good old Picto chat.
Drew, Tenny.
I used to log into PictoChat. I would switch my name to all like question marks and try and freak out my brothers. They'd be like, "Who's this?" Like it's not even Wi-Fi. It's just local. They were not bright. Brady, Tenny.
If it,
Tenny,
if it
Brady.
were Tenny, he'd have to be like a teacher. He wasn't even alive, or
Yeah,
yes,
Hitler.
it wasn't even the thing when he was in grade school.
Right?
Getting
All
more
right,
breaks.
well,
Tenny
it
with
was
one N.
me. That's the only time
Good
I
old
got
Brady.
detention. No one even said anything. I just put fuck in there. My teacher's like, what? Like, freaked out on me. And I was like, all right. She made me cry. It was sad. Okay, let me find another fact for you guys. In high school, this host was voted most likely to make it to Hollywood.
There's ought to be some interesting answers.
Drew, Danny, Chase.
I wonder who among us is most likely to make it to Bollywood.
Tenny when he
Drew.
conquers Asia.
Wait, did somebody ping Princeton?
No, I think that was under Pingable.
Yeah, 7 hours ago.
Okay. So we have a Drew, we have a Danny, and we have a Chase. Any other guesses? Danny? Well, most likely to make it to Hollywood was Chase. Yes, Chase, do you want to explain any of that or why you were voted?
I thought this would be a good one because it would throw it off because I know Danny has said that he's done some improv and theater and stuff. But yeah, thank you for calling me a fuckboy in the chat. That's really nice of you.
What?
I did a lot of theater from sophomore to senior year, and so that would be why.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's just do a simple one. This host cannot eat marshmallows. He has a horrible gag reflex.
It's not true.
He has he has a gag
Dude,
reflex
yeah,
for
why would I do
marshmallows.
Danny.
I think people are only guessing me because I haven't been the one for so long.
Well, Tenny lied to you. It is true.
I can't do it, man. I can't. It just instant gag reflex. I don't know what it is. Tastes like shit. I can't do it.
Can you
Elaborate.
can no? Like, can you eat like a s'more?
I don't eat them. I go out of my way not to eat
Can you eat a s'more?
Like, can you eat it if it's with something or no?
I mean, like, if you count Lucky Charms, I don't know.
Okay. Let me scroll up. Get
They're
enough.
too girthy.
They're too girthy. Oh my god. Okay, this host has met and is friends with hockey broadcaster Doc Emmerich, and Doc Emmerich has bought this host McDonald's before.
Love me some
Who?
Doc.
Who? Don't you say who. Don't you disrespect Doc Emmerich like that. Drew, Danny, Chase, Brady, Tenny in the hockey hotbed of Arizona.
Hey man, I'm probably one of the only people here to actually play hockey.
That's true.
The question was, which of the hosts has met Doc Emmerich and Doc Emmerich has bought this person McDonald's? There's no team in Seattle.
Yikes.
There is. Well, they're in Kent, but it's the Thunderbirds. I follow the Tips though. Go Tips. That's
Gotcha.
Western.
Well, I am the one who has met Doc Emmerich. He actually got his broadcasting career started in my hometown. So, and he still comes back and works on with the radio show I used to work with. And now, yeah. And one time he brought in McDonald's for the show. So yeah. Let's move on. Hold on. Real quick. All right. Let me see. This host went to Hawaii and ate at the same food court for a week. This host went to Hawaii and ate at the same food court for a week.
True.
Why me?
Yeah, the food court was just called ass.
Oh no.
Drew, Danny, Nats, Drew, Danny.
Oh no, everyone's gonna say Danny.
Danny would appreciate the culture. Well, about that. Danny?
I live way too close. Yeah, it was way cheap, and food was not great, and we had already run out of food by the time we'd gotten to that island. So I had a lot of French toast. There was a. Oof.
What?
Why?
It's a delicacy of Hawaii.
I know.
Hawaiian deli.
We got like $9 every day. Not every day, every meal. It was like Go spend it. It's cheaper than getting bread and peanut butter, I suppose. I've got a spicy meme coming up.
We'll do a couple more. This host once hit a single with a broken hand in Little League. This host once hit a single with a broken hand in Little League.
That
Oh,
does sound
that
like
dude-
it. That does
Chad
sound like
I
I
played sports.
He's a theater kid. He wouldn't go.
Farmer Strength. Well, Tenny's been another guess.
Drunk.
No, Tenny just breaks his hand from punching the wall.
I mean,
Or punching Poland.
Punching Poland.
God damn.
Well, it is not Chase. Danny, you want to tell the story?
Oh yeah, so I was up a bat, got hit in the hand. The ball smacked my fingers instead of the bat, but it dribbles into left field. And I get onto second base and I score the tying run, and everybody's cheering. And then all of a sudden they're like, "Nope, dead ball. You've got to go back to home plate." I guess instead of getting a walk, but either way, next pitch, boom, single. Still get the winning run or the tying run in, and then the lights go out. I'm bawling, and I was like, "There's no crying in baseball," but I was doing it anyways. And then since the lights were out, they're like, "Game's over. Other team wins because this inning doesn't count." Everyone was pissed, but good experience.
So you hit a single and then it didn't count because the lights went out?
Yes, it was like 8:00, and they were like, no more." So that was great.
That's lame.
Oh my!
What was the point of having you hit a second time then?
I don't know. That is a great
That
question.
makes no sense.
Okay, next question that I just found out. Oh my! This host got suspended in 5th grade from fighting too much on the bus. This host got suspended in 5th grade for fighting too much on the bus.
It's all me. Why?
It was too easy.
Well, they're not wrong.
Someone were talking to you.
Explain.
Someone chewed clock and you lost it.
Oh my god.
Might be the upvotes I've seen in a long
Needs to be
time.
pinned.
I got you. Drew,
Yeah,
explain.
so this sounds worse the more I explain it to you. Just know that. Danny. Yeah, so I guess there's this kid I didn't get along with in my neighborhood, and we would always be on the bus, and we had assigned seats, and he was always behind me, and he'd always try to hit me in the head. So one day I just decided to turn around, and I stabbed him with a pencil.
Jeez.
Right in the arm.
Was it sharp?
So, and then in class later that day, I pushed his head against the desk.
This
he
explains
fucked
so
with me for the
much.
rest of the year.
Was it weird? Was it weird going to school with someone so much younger than you since you did that to Weber State?
It's fucking insane, dude.
That kid grew up
Yeah.
to be the bronze kneecap.
Yeah, pretty much.
Rival of the Crimson Chin. Nice.
Yeah, I swung my chin around, hit this fucking bitch in the face.
Okay. Alright. We'll do 2 more. This host's favorite hobby is photography. Chase.
Why are the
It's
kids in
Chase, he
FBS
has
so
all that
fucking mean?
scenic-
Danny.
all those scenic cornfields.
Oh my goodness.
One of the theater kids.
Okay. One of the
Danny
theater
Chase.
Okay. Well, it is not Danny or Chase. It is actually Tenny.
Hey,
Tenny?
he loves
wanna-
taking. Yeah, no, go for it.
I
Tenny.
mean, yeah, it's like what?
No,
I've
she said
been-
eat shit, you cunts.
No, I took a
Presbyterian is acting like photography is like a death sentence or something.
Yeah, it's taking pictures. It's not.
Hey man, photography's awesome. Don't fucking hate on it. I'll come to your farm and kill you.
Dude, heck
No,
yeah.
I took a photography class in college as like an elective credit and just kind of fell in love with it. And don't ask me to take pictures of your wedding or any like bullshit of people in it because I hate that. But I'll take pictures of like scenery, cities, cars, like I don't know, pretty much anything
His
really.
car.
But yeah, my car.
Dirt bikes.
A lot of his car, and even more of his car,
That's all I put on my Instagram, but I don't put like fucking.
and then his car again.
Okay. No, we have two more. The last one's the grand finale.
Oh
All right.
boy.
You know which one it is. This host once confessed their love to an MLB player mid-game and got acknowledged from that person.
Drew Ekstrom. No, it was an
is not-
MLB player, not an MC player.
Nice. 10 out of 10.
Thank
So-
you.
Brady.
LMAO.
I love the fucking goat emoji.
I know. Drew.
We got a Drew.
Drew Extra, maybe.
Danny, underrepresented.
Dark
Yeah,
Horse.
he was yelling for Mike Trout.
Oh,
It's funny because Presbyterian called us, the theater kids gay, and now something that's actually confessing love to another man.
All right, whoever's secret this is, do you want to talk about
It
it?
was me. So when Matt Holliday was on the Cardinals, I absolutely loved him. I loved him on the Rockies. So my mom and I went to a game. We were second row from left field, and yeah, middle like the top of the seventh. It was just kind of like very quiet, and I'm in a section full of women who's been screaming at Matt all game. And I was like, all right, I'm getting sick of this. So I was like, Matt, I love you. And he looked over at me, tipped his cap, and pointed at me. And it's one of the 5 best moments of my life.
Right above getting married.
Okay, and the grand finale. This host shit their pants in second grade.
Danny.
Danny.
I'm gonna tell you right up
Danny.
straight up, it is not me, but you're not far off. I definitely did it in 4th grade, 3rd grade. Yeah, 3rd grade.
You're telling that story after whose it is.
Yes, it is straight up shit. Or a
Yes,
gay sideways shit.
Wait, that's not a host.
straight up shit themselves. No, shit themselves.
Like intentionally too. This kid feel this.
Okay, who wants to admit it?
Me again. Hello. we were taking a test, and you know, just kind of going through it, and I farted. And I was like, oh, okay, that was a good fart. Then all of a sudden, I kind of, I'm sitting on the chair, and I felt it on my phone. I was like, oh fuck. So I went to the bathroom, and sure enough, there's shit in my underwear.
Sure enough.
Had a little skin mark. So
Oh my goodness. Beautiful.
Danny?
Mine was just near the end of the day. We were just doing a bit of free time, and I was like, oh, I can make it. I don't need to use the bathroom. I'll be fine. I'll just wait until I get home. I maybe didn't make it like 20 minutes before class ended, so I was just in there. I didn't want to tell my teacher because I think I'd already like wet myself a couple times during the school year before, so I was like, okay, I don't want to be the
What
guy.
grade is this?
This is third grade.
This is sophomore
11th
high
grade.
school.
This is senior. This is yesterday.
This is English 1020.
Yesterday.
No, but
Right now, I just shit myself.
welcome to the Incontinence podcast. No, but yeah, and so then I just sat around. People were like, "It smells like fart around here," and so then I was like, "Okay, time to go to the next section," so that nobody would be like, "It's one of us." And then yeah, I sat by myself on the bus ride home.
Yo.
I'm laughing my
I
ass
hope
off.
you know that if you leave and it stops smelling,
I know. I was not smart. I should have just stayed.
they know.
Yeah, they
Says
knew.
the person who shit themselves. All right.
It's a brotherhood now.
I think that's a good place to end this week. Chase, you want to take us out?
I would love to take all of you out to the farm and just shoot you individually after that.
First,
Have
All right,
Logan
well.
do it so we can shoot all of us.
That's right. This is another episode of the Late Night FCS Show chat. I hope this is archived and documented in human history.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm not mad, Presbyterian. God. Anyway, this is a lot of fun. I'm glad we had the show interaction, or the interaction one. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, we're going to skip next Monday and just do the Wednesday selection show. But what do you guys think?
We may do like an awards show type thing, or just like a
Okay,
season
yeah.
recap, like regular season recap next Monday.
But it's not going to be a traditional show.
No.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
it's not going to be like the same normal show.
So
Like
then
the
on
big show next week will be when we release the playoff bracket.
So on Wednesday, what the tentative plan is I will host next Wednesday, and we will release the bracket, ask the committee all the questions, get everyone's outrage out of there, and then talk about matchups.
I will not
Yeah.
be there on Wednesday.
Sad
Good.
times.
Bummer. You're gonna be the main guy to yell at people.
F,
All right.
F for Drew.
All right, guys.
I'll be
it's
at
been
work
fun.
during the outrage.
Just call off.
This is another edition of the Late Night FCS Show chat.
Goodbye.
Suck it.
Suck it. That's good.